Hey guys, Dr. Nathan Warren here. I just want to take a minute and talk about autoimmunity in our kids. So right now, there's no doubt there's an absolute rise in epidemic in autoimmune conditions in our children. For me, this is one of my biggest passions on the planet, is working with not only parents but also with kids and helping raise up a healthy, future generation. Because remember, our kids right now are literally the future. And so I don't know about you, but it scares me quite a bit considering just how rampant we're already seeing chronic disease and autoimmune conditions in even our young kids. And so here's the thing. What we have to realize is there's certain underlying causes to these issues. This isn't just something random. This isn't just something that we've gotten better at diagnosing, which is actually one of my biggest stinking pet peeves on the planet when I hear, any type of doctors or scientists say that junk. Actually, I think it's the complete opposite. I think we've actually lost the art of diagnosis. Now, if you were to go into the emergency room or you're going to the hospital, they're going to run every test under the sun to try to figure out what's wrong with you without actually sitting down with you and getting to know the patient and finding out some basic history on them. We've really lost the art of diagnosis. So that being said, we know that there are certain causative factors to these overwhelming autoimmune conditions in our kids, and I want to discuss those right now. So number one, we got to talk about the gut, all right? And so we know that our kids, especially, their guts are being bombarded on a daily basis. Number one, most kids have already been through rounds of antibiotics. We know that one exposure to antibiotics can change the gut microbiome for a lifetime. So again, multiple rounds of these things for unnecessary uses. For example, one of the most common things I see come into my practice is these kids have been on multiple rounds of antibiotics for ear infections. And again, they're seeing no benefit. And actually, even the Journal of Pediatrics talks about how there's basically no benefit to antibiotics when it comes to ear infections. We're seeing these for issues that, again, have no business actually giving out antibiotics. We're seeing, dentists over-prescribing antibiotics. We're seeing things like, again, pediatricians giving our kids antibiotics even after the flu just for preventative reasons. And we actually know studies show that it increases the risk of more severe symptoms with the flu if given antibiotics because, again, there's no reason to give those in the first place. So that's one area that we're seeing disruption in the gut microbiome. The second area is, again, with all the stuff that's being sprayed around them. Guys, our kids are playing in, things like parks and areas that have been massively sprayed with pesticides and herbicides. And we actually know that certain types of these pesticides and herbicides, specifically in the herbicide category with glyphosate, we've seen it on our food source, we've seen it around our environment, and it was actually patented as an antibiotic to begin with, right? As an antibacterial product. And so then they started using it as an herbicide. So it wipes out the microbiome, again, of our children's guts. There's several other factors that, again, go towards damaging our guts. For example, the foods that our kids are consuming that are full of things like artificial ingredients, artificial flavorings and colorings, the massive amounts of sugar and high fructose corn syrup that our kids are consuming on a regular basis that are in some of the most common, breakfast cereals to their most common snacks. One of the areas that we have to watch out for the most with our kids is if we're ever visiting family or friends and we take them to church. They're feeding them snacks like it's crazy. Our kids don't need to snack 24/7, and yet that's one of those things. So we're damaging our children's gut, which is going to be their first, again, one of the biggest parts of their immune system. About 80% of their immune system is going to live there. And guys, when it comes to the microbiome, we haven't even come close to actually, really talking about what is amazing about our microbiome, because even scientists today, even the best ones, the best experts in the world, know that we're just on the tip of the iceberg with the microbiome and the health of the gut. Now, a second area that we see it is toxins. We are being bombarded by toxins on a regular basis. But I wanted to take a different approach. Again, it's not just the toxins that your kids are exposed to now, but also the toxins that are passed down via generational toxicity. So not only things like, again, heavy metals like mercury, aluminum, lead, cadmium, these are all things that not only are passed down via from mom to baby just when they're carrying baby, but also too, we know that these things can be passed down via breast milk as well. Now, that being said, breast milk, again, to me is still the most important option as far as feeding our children when they're younger, but we know that with no fault to the mother that we can still pass down some of these generational toxins, and that is actually creating a hyperactive immune system, which leads to things like autoimmune conditions later on. Now, the third one that I want to talk about is one that I feel like, again, not only in our everyday life, but also just from a pediatrician standpoint, really there's this major attack on the cell-mediated part of the immune response. And so let me give you a quick example. There's two parts to our immune system, the cell-mediated part and then the humoral response. The cell-mediated response is literally our body's first initial attack on a foreign invader. So whether it's a virus or a bacteria, our body basically, it mounts a defense and it sends things like immune cells to that area to actually neutralize the infection. And so what they will do is they will actually engulf and digest those cells that have been infected, and then the waste product that comes out is actually what creates the symptoms. So the fever, the snotty nose, the coughing, those type of things. But yet basically not only parents but pediatricians and again our society says, how can we eliminate these symptoms? Because we don't want this cell-mediated response and we thwart that response. That's actually a dangerous thing to do, guys, because when we constantly bring down the cell-mediated response of our immune system, that means we are literally trading acute infectious disease for chronic autoimmune conditions, because what we will do by consistently stimulating the humoral part of the immune system without the cell-mediated response is we will create a hyperactive immune system, aka autoimmune conditions. So we may not see them right off the bat as kids, but as they hit their teenage years and as they hit early adulthood, now they're having different autoimmune conditions, whether it's things like psoriatic arthritis, whether it's things like rheumatoid arthritis, maybe it's irritable bowel disorders, maybe it's ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, something like that, maybe it's MS. Again, we're seeing this trade-off of not stimulating the appropriate part of our immune system, and we're seeing this trade-off in autoimmune conditions. So what are some of the most common ways we see this cell-mediated response actually, thwarted is by giving things like Tylenol, right, when our children have fevers. Instead of recognizing that fever is there because that is the body's mechanism for removing the waste product of what your body just fought off, we're actually thwarting that process and we're giving our kids things like Tylenol, which again can actually raise a whole nother area of problems. And so what we would rather you do is actually support your child's body as they're going through this cell-mediated response and realize their immune systems are brilliant. They're smart. They know how to actually work, and they know how to work appropriately. The more that we actually thwart this process, the more we're trading off these autoimmune conditions. So work on our kids' guts. Do things like feed them really, really good quality food. So we like more of a paleo lifestyle as far as foods go with kids. So lots of good healthy meats, tons of vegetables, lots of good healthy fruit, not using artificial sweeteners, using things like raw local honey or organic maple syrup, using things like stevia or monk fruit to sweeten things, and again things like certain sprouted nuts and seeds. That's a great first step in creating a good healthy gut. Use things like spore biotics. So if you go to our website, doctorswarren.com, we like using mega spore biotics. That's a fantastic one, and Restore is a great one as well. Eliminating toxins. This is something that, again, we always suggest that you actually see a really good healthcare practitioner. We do this in our office, so if it's something that you're interested in, you can always reach out to us. We love to actually take parents through and teach them how to appropriately remove toxins, but you can remove them from your actual child's lifestyle. by doing that. Getting adjusted is a fantastic way to not only help gut health, but also, again, mobilizing toxins, removing, actually moving the lymphatic system, and making sure that the most important system in the body is working the way it's supposed to, which is your nervous system. Remember, your nervous system is also what controls your digestive system as well as your immune response. So the best way that we can take care of our overall, bodies and nervous system, again, get them specifically adjusted. Again, things like chiropractic care is an amazing thing that we can utilize, and don't thwart your body's natural immune responses. So again, make sure, comment below if one of your kids have had an autoimmune issue, and if you've seen major success in certain areas. I'd love to hear that. Or comment below if you just like the information that we're putting out, guys. You never know how far-reaching things can be. So comment, like, and share. And again, guys, I'll be coming live to you guys more often and regularly, so stay tuned.